Our destination this week on our Magic Mutant Summer Tour Bus Extravaganza took us to Rawlings, Wyoming for the 1987 film Prison. And I was really looking forward to this one. I didn't get exactly what I wanted, but I did get a damn fine film. Like, because I saw that Kane Hodder was in this, and I'm like, you see his hands and his neck, maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe for like all of 40 seconds. Because I was really kind of hoping for a Jason versus Aragorn. That's what I was really hoping for. Not exactly. I mean, we did get that, but it was like more spirit form.
I gotta say, I was the box art for this
Mm-hmm.
was spot on.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's weird to say if you've looked at what the box art for this was. It was actually, I remember this movie from my video rental store as a kid, actually, and
Oh, okay, cool.
I actually remember that box whenever you posted it, and I was like, I do know of this movie. I know shit about it, but I know that it existed at one point. But the blue light, which
Mm-hmm.
was a running theme for the movie, the archaic look of the prison skull on the front of it
That was
looked
just
just
cool.
like the prison. It was cool, but it looked just like
But
the
yeah, it did.
prison. That was very well represented.
Mm-hmm.
Did not expect Viggo Mortensen to carry the movie as much because I think it was one of his early acting roles. He fucking knocked it out of the park too.
Well, we were sitting here trying to during the first watch. I think me and Sparrow were trying to break down like estimate wise, like a guesstimate kind of thing. This was 87, 88, and then the first Lord of the Rings came out in I believe 97, and that took a shitload of like filming time. So,
Mm-hmm.
obviously they didn't start. So it's like he's less than 10 years within Lord of the Rings in this. Like I don't think he couldn't have possibly have done very much between this and that. Maybe one or two things at best.
Maybe
Maybe.
at best.
Mm. So, but it is a fresh, and you know what? I had something that I noticed this watch, and I was talking about it with my wife while she was doing some laundry. Uh, Looking at that fresh cut, that young Vigo right there, seeing him in that prison, I was like, you know what? I started comparing him to Nick Cage, and I started thinking, I'm like, okay, we've got Nick Cage and Vigo both have a serious fucking cool factor. But Nick Cage has that weird, crazy side of him that, like, that's what differentiates him. That's what makes him stand out. Vigo doesn't have that weird, goofy kind of side to him, but you, what he doesn't have, you just add more cool.
he has a he has a cool side and a seriously cool side. Like
Right.
it's like that old meme. It's like Daniel, the cooler Daniel, and it's the same dude with sunglasses on.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because I want to say it was 3 years after this movie came out in '90. He played a crazy in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3,
Oh.
and it does a great job in it as said crazy, which is then followed up by Matthew McConaughey basically doing the same role in the next one after that. Here it was like it was Vanishing Point cool, where he was smooth operator the whole time,
Mm-hmm.
kind of big brother to everybody in the prison because he's like, "You
Yeah.
want your Rambo poster, bro? I got you."
I got you. Yeah. Um, but I was thinking, just for a moment, like I enjoy Con Air, and I wouldn't really change a whole lot about it. But just for the sake of imagining it, take Nick Cage out and put in that cool young Vigo.
I'd fuck with it.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm
Uh,
saying?
uh,
Yeah, you
well,
don't hate the idea.
well, that's the Vigo factor though,
Mm.
because I have always kind of felt that Vigo should have gotten more roles, but apparently he's also selective about what he does because he did two David Cronenberg movies that were not horror movies. They might as well have been though. He did A History of Violence and then followed it up with Eastern
Oh
Promises
yeah,
like 2 years later.
I remember
And
History of Violence. That's the fucking dirty muff sex scene movie.
on the steps,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh, but he has a particular edge to him, and it is really, really cool to see it outside of that, because I think most people were introduced to him in Lord of the Rings, and then you're like, oh, he did other not sword and, well, I about said sword and sandal, but he didn't do other, movies like that, or he did other movies like that, and then this is sort of like, this is the prototype for what he will become, and it is so damn cool. Michael Mann should have directed this. That's how cool it was.
Yeah, it's crazy though, but I'm willing to put money on how something happened. We all know how Peter Jackson got his start, obviously. Like, what really tickles his bone. How much money are you willing to bet that he saw Prison and those few moments of Viggo, like, just being serious and contemplative to himself, and he's like, that's my Aragorn.
I could have. He could have saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 too, because there's a turn on a dime moment in that one where he goes from serious to, psychotic, and it's awesome. Some of the best actors get their start in horror movies.
Oh yeah,
George Clooney in Grizzly, which also had Christopher George in it, another one of our That Guy guys. Matthew McConaughey, Jennifer Aniston. And Frighteners, yeah. I mean,
Frighteners is great, yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So I don't doubt it. I would not be surprised if he was at a New Zealand video store and went in and picked him up a copy of Prison. Maybe
hopefully he didn't grab the Italian copy like I.
The Italian copy that also had the English dub in the background.
Yeah, that was so weird. I was like, because there really wasn't a lot of talking during the execution part, and then like he was on the phone, and I'm like, maybe he's just mumbling. But then when the woman started talking, I'm like, uh-oh.
And I'm not Fred Williamson. I can't translate it. I wonder if there was an option in the audio to turn off the Italian. I don't know. Who cares? I preferred watching it in 360p because the first time we watched it, we got to follow it up with the Night of the Living Dead work print, which we can talk about at the end because I want to. But
so while I didn't really get exactly what I wanted with the Kane Hodder and the Viggo, I was pleasantly surprised by just how many fucking people were in this movie that I didn't know were in this movie. Starting with, we had the Warden, who was played by Lane Smith, who I particularly know best from two roles as the dad and son-in-law, and he was the prosecutor in My Cousin Vinny.
The two I know him from, too. There you go. Give me some Pauly Shore action.
So I was just like, excellent. And then, Debo. I didn't see that fucking coming.
And he was so non-Debo in this. You know what? I got it. He survives this movie and ends up on the ferry in The Dark Knight because he is reformed.
Gets arrested because of the events of Friday, ends up in the prison situation here, and then ends up in Gotham. Perfect. Now I'm gonna tell you. Let me see here. Yeah, let me look at this dude real quick. This dude, there was one of the guards, the guard who died the freakish Hellraiser style death with the barbed wire and the chair going through the ceiling. That dude looked familiar as fuck. Hal Landon Jr. Of course, that's what. Here I am. I'm sitting here. I'm like, I know this dude. Why can't I picture this dude in anything else? And then I'm sitting here. I'm like, oh yeah. All these fucking movies. Okay. Yep. So he was good. I'm gonna have to say, now, I thought that based in the trailer, because I believe the director of Prison, which was
Rennie,
yeah, he did Nightmare 4, right?
Yeah, he did Nightmare 4 and Die Hard 2.
Okay. Because he did I know Nightmare 3 and Nightmare 4 are two totally different fucking movies, but I feel like they're a part one and a part two kind of the movie of franchise. Um, but in the trailer, the uh the guy who the voodoo kind of priest guy, the one who does the ritual.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The trailer was kind of grainy and stuff. I thought that was the actor that played Kincaid for a second, but clearly it's not.
Right.
But I liked Kincaid. I was like, oh shit. But no, this was good. It had it was a little bit slower than I thought it was gonna be, but it was still really, really good. I think that my favorite aspect of it was the light. I really liked the whole how they used that white light because it reminded me of what I liked about part one of the Tim Curry It. Because there's
Okay.
that scene when they're in the underground sewer kind of area or whatever, and then there's that bullshit fucking bully kid, who they really fucking cranked out in the updated version. That fucking kid was ruthless.
Yeah.
Um,
Now,
but and in the Tim Curry TV one, he's just a little shit. He's not anything compared to the later. Um, but there's the scene where he gets sucked through the tube, but you see the light, the deadlights coming because the way they use the deadlights in that one is the bright white light. They didn't really use the deadlights a whole lot in the new ones. Now that I mean, you see the shit in the back of his throat when he's got the girl in the air or whatever, but they really used deadlights better, I think, in Tim Curry version. Now that I think about it, but that's what it reminded me of.
I uh, I got X Files vibes from it.
Oh yeah. That they use X Files was notorious for their. They had to because you can't have a creature in every episode. The budget won't allow it.
Huh.
But no, yeah. So they had to get creative with that shit. So yeah, definitely some X Files in it. Um, I liked. There was some. I don't want to say heinous kills. I've seen probably some better kills, but there were some decent kills though. Like I liked the guy who was in the hole that like burned up and you kind of saw like that head melting on fire.
Yeah,
Uh
it reminded me of the stuff.
I was at when I first saw it, I'm like, I need a ruling on a sparrow stunt, but I'm like, that's clearly like a dummy or a molding, so this doesn't count. The
We
ceiling,
should
yes.
we should watch Maniac Cop 2 because I'm pretty sure that is the ultimate Sparrow stunt.
The guy in the ceiling. Are you talking about the guy that the barbed wire guy that goes through the ceiling in the chair, or the guy that fell and all the blood hit? Because I liked the blood one, where the guy was up, the one that you made the Tetsuo joke about.
Ah, yes. That
Um,
is Tom Everett, by the way, who is also in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 with Vigo, and he's also in Die Hard 2 with Rennie Harlan as
yeah, the
well.
fell one, yeah. I remember that's what it was because that was when we watched it the first time and Sparrow was watching it. At first he was like, I think he was about to type. He's like, I think the kills so far have been kind of tame. But like right as he was like sent that, the body falls and all the blood hits the table. He's like, I stand corrected.
Couldn't have timed that better. I thought that was a one. I wasn't expecting a cyberpunk kill in a movie called Prison, and also just how it. I forget what we were watching that I said I didn't particularly like it because they lingered on the kills too much, not to an uncomfortable level where it was just kind of silly. I can't remember which movie that was, but that one it lingered on it, but they made it painful, so they made your purpose of lingering on it legit.
Yeah, like it was one of those situations where so when he's all like caught up and twisted in the wires and the pipe, and you see that one going into his forehead, like you know that like how they're filming that, like it's just like touching his head and that's it. It's not moving anymore. But feels like it is. Like you just start feeling that he acts it like his eyes bulge to the point where you're like shit, that's really happening to him.
Maybe they did crazy shit in the 80s. We just didn't know about it.
Um, what I liked that I mentioned in the chat while we were watching it was so when they went to Wyoming to film this, they were like, "Hey, we need a prison to film this movie in," and they're like, "Well, perfect. We've got this rundown prison that we're gonna demolish anyway." So you can use it for your film and do whatever the fuck you want because it's not going to be there after you're done. So like that scene towards the end when all the prison doors are blowing off and everything, I'm like, they didn't give a fuck. That they were just blowing them off, like blow them off the hinges. We don't care.
Yeah, you're actually saving us time.
Yeah.
Do you think the
So
demolition guy was just like, this is gonna be my fucking masterpiece?
the only thing that sucks, and it's like it's cool that they had that situation, but at the same time where I'm like, I wouldn't mind, like as long as it wasn't still an actual functioning prison, I'd like to go check out that filming location.
That one would have been kind of cool, yeah.
Yeah. But the execution chamber where they kill Kane Hodder in the very beginning, the electric chair scene, that was the real execution chamber for the prison, except from what I read that it was a gas chamber, not a chair, like in the movie.
Yeah, I hate that I know that I know this, but that I saw that immediately. That was not a the electric chair room does not usually look like that, and it's definitely not rounded off.
Yeah, I was just that one scene where you see the guys on either side with the windows and it is kind of rounded. I was like, that's how you can tell probably because I usually the chair is kind of like a staging area, right? Like kind of like how they had it in Green Mile almost.
And
I
in
mean, there might be
Nightmare
like
Beach.
a wall, like how they do for Lethal Injection. Like everybody's looking through the window; they're not literally in the same room as the person. But um,
Modern standards, yeah. Probably in like the 50s and 60s, probably 70s too. They probably didn't even put the fucking glass up for them. But
so in the beginning of the movie, we've got our two guys. We have what the guy that burns up in the hole, and then the other guy. I think his name what was his name, Rabbit or something like that. The guy
Rabbit,
that
yeah.
yeah, the guy that me and Sparrow mentioned that guy too, and I'm like the guy that looks like he should play David Koresh.
If they got him to play in a Waco movie, I'd probably shit bricks because he really does look like Chris.
Yeah. So they had the scene in the beginning when the prisoners are first being brought to the prison and they take the bus for a joyride. And I was just like, I'm like, I've never wanted to watch Speed more in my life right now.
We
I
have
will
to keep the bus above 55.
I love the first Speed movie. I don't care what anybody said. No, the second one's a piece of shit. But the first one, I don't care what the premise is. The bad guy's Dennis Hopper. It makes sense.
Dennis Hopper could take even a fucking D grade movie and probably make it A grade.
If you are making a movie and you need a Joker character, but you can't physically put the Joker in your movie, cast Dennis Hopper.
Dennis Hopper in the 80s had a lot of stuff going for him. Cocaine was one of them, and
Yeah.
it really showed in his roles. Blue Velvet, anyone?
And I'll say that what was it? I remember, and this is the weirdest thing, and I don't know if there's anybody out there that experienced these two movies the way that I did, but I saw Dumb and Dumber before I ever saw Speed. So when it comes to Jeff Daniels, I only really knew him from Dumb and Dumber, and then to see him go out the way that he did in Speed, I was just like, I'm like, I feel really saddened by that, like way more than I should for this Speed movie.
You're not supposed to have an emotion in a movie about a bus with a bomb on it.
But I'm probably biased though because I remember all through middle school and I think the first year of high school, I had a pretty heavy crush on young Sandra Bullock. And so, this worked.
That'll happen.
Yeah. But so that's kind of how the dropping off of the prisoners go. It was funny though, because like so what the two main flaws that I have with this movie is I see that the warden is a part of the execution in the beginning, so I understand how he relates to what's going on to a certain degree. But what I'm having trouble is why is this happening? Like, is the dude just pissed off and it just happened? Like, the ghost is pissed off. It's like, oh, hey, that guy's here. I'm gonna start causing some shit randomly, or like, has he like what else? Why is he haunting the place?
Because he was executed wrongfully,
I vaguely,
allegedly.
I vaguely heard this, but I never really got caught that part of the story.
It was, I think, legitimately when he goes into the infirmary with the guy who shot himself in the foot,
Mm-hmm.
which we'll get to that. Um, but I think he mentioned something that they killed the wrong guy, and they knew it because I think the warden had actually killed the inmate, and they blamed it on him, which is why that whole thing with the yard and them standing out there
Right.
was so egregious, was because much like the last time, he was the one that killed them. So there you go.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. Okay.
so,
It
but it's
was like
thin.
the loose understanding of that I got. Like I got that the warden was a part of the execution, and I saw the whole thing with the newspaper, and that the one dude who shot himself was there. Like I got that. So that everything made sense. I was just like, was there something extra that happened that made him come back? I that's the only. I'm like I. And he got these really cool light and lightning powers.
I hate to bring it up again, but Nightmare Beach did it better.
Yeah.
It had Gators guy in it too.
Well, I was slightly hesitant that something of this topic would be approached in this movie, and it most definitely was. But what I was surprised was actually how entertaining it was. But a whole prison bitch situation.
They went
And
right in on it, didn't they?
yeah, that dude was hilarious, and how he zeroed in on that guy, and the payoff in the end was so goddamn good.
To use a wrestling term, that is long-term storytelling.
Yep. Um uh when everybody's pairing up in their bunks and stuff, that dude just comes in. He's just immediate. He's just like, "Yup, you're my bitch."
Congrats, you rolled the dice incorrectly.
I just kept him at. I'm like, he's gonna have him hold his pocket by the end of this. But no, I loved the him walking around holding the stereo for him. I liked the when they were getting assigned jobs. The guard gave that dude the easiest job. It's like, oh, you're in charge of the water. He's like, that boy's with me, and he's like, yep, not even gonna argue that one with you.
Not my pig, not my farm. See ya.
Yep. I liked that. And then when it came time where he could have opened the door to save that guy, he was just like, no, fuck him, and let the ghost kill him.
That was one of the great like, I don't know how else to describe it. That was one of the great fuck moments of the movie. The other was the one in the yard where he said, "I don't give a fuck." Whenever they said that he was going to shoot him, well,
Oh yeah.
obviously he doesn't give a shit. Or, sorry, he doesn't give a fuck.
And now let's see here. Then we have Lasagna.
I like
Who-
that guy.
This guy definitely was inspired somehow by John Travolta, one of many John Travolta characters. I liked how they paired him up with Debo, but I think you could have gotten some funnier. Like I think it would have been funnier if you would have taken the guy that was the bitch and paired him with Debo, because I think the whole arm wrestling scene between that little puny guy and Debo would have been a little bit more funnier. And then the whole idea, because when Lasagna first gets there and they take his poster, it's rolled up, so you don't see what's on it. The whole time I'm like, oh, that's like a chick in a bikini, or it's like some sort of porn or something. And like, he's like, they let me have it in, North County or some shit like that. And then finally, after Vigo fucking steals the poster back and gets it to him, and he puts it on the wall. Now, I'm not talking shit that it's fucking Rambo, because I mean that's a sweet fucking Rambo poster. I'm not gonna lie,
I
but
would put it on my wall.
but facts are facts. If you're in prison, maybe not the best thing to be seen putting up in your cell. So think of the comedy situation you could have had if the other dude was in there. He's like, and Lasagna's like, I really like that guy. And he's like, well, hey, you're gonna love me.
Maybe if the Zucker brothers did the movie instead, this could have been Naked Gun 4 3/4 or something.
So I think that's a missed opportunity, but I do like how everybody like I said, I liked the bitch and the other dude. Like I like how their little story played out. Debo having that moment in his end, because so to set it up like loosely is that this prison hasn't been in use for like a decade. It's run down, it's a piece of shit, but they need more space for prisoners. They put this fucking asshole dude in charge as the warden. They don't even spruce the place up, renovate it, or anything. They just start dropping off prisoners. And the ghost is killing them. So the ghosts are ready to get the fuck out. Or, I mean, the prisoners are ready to get the fuck out. I'm sure the ghost is ready to get the fuck out, too. But,
Probably.
By towards the end, when the cell doors have blown off, shit's gone crazy. The prisoners are ready to storm out of the general public area. This lone cop with a shotgun comes up, and Debo's trying to talk him down. Like, surprisingly, Debo's being pretty chill. He's just like, you're gonna come with us? Everything's gonna be fine. And then this was just the manliest moment, I think, of the whole fucking movie. Like, takes a fucking shot to the chest with now that looked like birdshot. It didn't look like a slug.
It was. I think it was. I think it hit him like near the gut, and yeah, I think it was buckshot or something like that. Because yeah, he didn't have one big old hole going on there.
But he takes the shot. It doesn't like he stays standing. He takes it standing. And then he starts doing that fucking hit, like to just get that adrenaline going, and he fucking Lex Luger his ass.
I thought during that whole thing, I was like, wow, Debo had some acting chops. Like he was, and then he went into full rage mode, and I was like, oh, there we go. We're back to regular Friday mode now.
Right, yeah, Sparrow. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It looked like it was like the whole area.
Fun fact: birdshot will be stopped by a T-shirt at 75 yards. Buckshot will not. The more you know.
Now I believe there was a couple gun situations that you wanted to discuss. Particularly, I know when right after the scene with Debo, they used the shotgun to blow open the door, and you're like, I gotta talk about that.
Yeah, we gotta talk about one thing. We gotta talk about two things. I'll go ahead and get this one out of the way. The guy who was in the prison originally with the shitty warden shoots himself in the foot in the yard with what looks like a Winchester 70, probably chambered in .308 because that's a military standard round. Just got done watching a YouTube video of someone shooting a ballistic gel foot with a 5.56, which is a smaller little guy, and it took off about this much of the foot. A 308's a bit bigger. It's a little bit big. So that little pop that he had in his foot, that dude would be far past fucked. They would have to get him out of that hospital and somewhere fast, which was his plan, but unfortunately they didn't do enough research on ballistics. Second thing, and this one's a little bit more painful for me, right after the Debo scene, they take the shotgun to shoot the lock off the door to get out. Here's what you don't do. Those are iron bars with an iron lock with a chain on it. Buckshot ricochets really bad. Birdshot ricochets even worse because there's like 100 pellets in it. Buckshot on a, let's say, an 8 to 10 pellet shell. I'm getting scientific tonight, baby. Woo! If they shot that lock that close, somebody's catching some spalling from the metal, first of all, and then others are going to probably checking into the toe tag hotel as well from the buckshot bouncing off of said steel. So them crowding around the door while he did that, not a good idea. And I have experience with that. I shot a stump with a shotgun because we are out in the sticks and you make targets out of anything. And I was standing probably 20, 15 yards back, something like that. After I fired, shotgun went down, and right under my eye, a piece of birdshot went all the way across it. Didn't break the skin because it was a ricochet off a birdshot, but I felt it. And if it had gone about an inch higher, I really would have felt it. So,
Yeah.
as a person who promotes safety in all things,
You Dick Cheney'd yourself.
yeah, I Dick Cheney'd myself, and he nearly Dick Cheney'd half of the population of the prison there. So yeah, I had a beef with that one because normally I'm able to suspend disbelief, but then I was like, that actually happened to me. Fuck, this is bullshit.
Now, as far as I'm trying to think who my MVP is for this movie, and it's tough because Vigo is just the man all around, but I don't think that's fair because he's the main character. He's in this type of, I mean, he's fucking badass. Like you say, he gets the poster back. He's always in charge. Like, he did not take a single threat from bitches dude at all when he was trying to get him to take part in the illegal activities. He just was just on it from beginning to end. But and especially the climbing up the barbed wire with the bare hands. Ooh. But I have a 3-way tie. Or no, wait, I think it's just a 2-way tie. Well, it's a 3-way tie if you count Vigo. But I really like the old dude that shot himself in the foot. I thought he was a very good, wise old man. And for his age, he knew what needed to be done. And like that opening scene when he's talking about all the prisons he's been. I've been in Gainesville for 10 years. I ain't seen the beach. And then I was in Kansas City. Like, I'm just sitting, I'm like, this dude's a hard motherfucker right here. Like, that's my dude right there. Like, I don't know what it is. I'm like, that old wise dude. I'm like, that's the dude that's seen some shit and has survived.
That's a pretty good call.
Yeah.
I would be inclined to agree.
And then I really liked the religious dude, the voodoo kind of dude. Show yourself.
That guy was interesting too because you got.
I think the camera. Oh, there it is. Okay.
I thought someone was going to come in and get the dog, which is probably going to happen in a minute. But I hope he's not chewing on my copy of Flesh Eater back there. I thought they did really good long-term storytelling with that guy too, because when they were going through the contraband line, the guy tried to grab his
necklace,
and was like, "You fucking with my religion, man." And I thought that was like, it almost seemed like that's probably just a throwaway line because these people are wearing crosses and all sorts of. He knocked the copy of Flesh Eater off the edge of the table there. They're wearing crosses and stuff, but you didn't really get a good look at what the pendant was, and then it makes sense later on in the movie. That was really good. That was I don't know if that was a direction choice or a writing choice. Either way, it was great.
And that scene where he does the ritual, so good. So good. Show yourself to me. And then that light just burning that hole through him. That's what the slug would have done.
That is what a 1 ounce chunk of lead flying at your ass does. Yes.
So like I said, I think that was my only two complaints with the movie is like I wasn't 100% clear on the backstory. Like there was enough for me to piece together a cohesive story, but I'm like, what's really going on? And then it was kind of a abrupt ending. I mean, I understand. I'm like, you don't need to do a happy fuck. I mean, what is he just gonna go to another prison? Or is he on the run? Like, it's just like, all right,
Well,
fuck it. We'll just after they get out of the gate, end it.
which I like. I actually kind of like that ending because he does have the prison lady from the state with him. So obviously, because we know the warden wasn't going to say anything about him getting the prisoner out of the burning cell and all of that,
Right.
because he basically came out and said he wasn't going to. I'd say he probably got his sentence commuted on that one. Especially once he uncovered a murder plot, and it's like if Shawshank Redemption was just a little bit more supernatural.
Yeah, that's what I was getting, and I dug it. There was a lot to like. Visually, I liked all the electricity effects. They were very, very good for the time that the movie was made. Like I'm like that looks cool. Um, I liked the exterior shots of the prison with the lightning. It's almost like Dracula Castle kind of shit looking.
You think somebody's going to hit an organ
Right.
immediately.
The characters were fucking great. The setting was fucking great. The story had a few bumps, but I mean, overall it was fine. Like I was totally good with it. This was one of the movies I was looking forward to. It let me down on some aspects, but it was still a very, very good movie. Um,
Hey, hang on one second. I gotta shut my door.
Go for it. Go for it. Go for it. All right. Nope, they're good. But overall, I think I would give this I think I'd give it a 3. I think it's solid 3. Like it could have been a smidgen better to make it a 3.5, but it did enough and had enough good shit where it's definitely not just average 2.5. It's definitely I think a 3. I'm happy with a 3.
It's a slow burn 3.
Yeah.
Down and out. I mean, I don't think I would be pissed off if anyone gave it less than that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it nice little one-off haunted house movie that takes place in a prison with a lot of unexpected performances by people that you're like, I know that guy.
Yeah. Hey, I know that guy. I know that guy. So definitely Prison, I recommend. It is a good watch.
I give it 3 lightning bolts out of 4.
3 stay of executions.
3 prison shanks out of 4.
Yeah.